Good morning, traders, and welcome back to another episode of Market in the Morning. Today, we have a special episode because we have CPI after extremely high oil prices due to the whole Iran situation, the Iran war. We also have Nalab joining us today as well. He's one of the co-founders of MRKT AI. We're going to be using the terminal to see how CPI comes out and how it's going to impact markets, and we're also going to set you guys up with some nice trade setups today, too. So hit that like and subscribe if you're ready to get the ball rolling, and let's get started because Market in the Morning starts right now. All right, Nalab, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. How's it going, my man?
All right, dude. Happy it's Friday.
Yeah, aren't we all? Yeah, we got a lots going on today, huh?
Yeah.
My week has been a bit chaotic past few weeks with the ceasefire deal, as you guys were talking about yesterday, and it could go away in just like thin air like this, right? It could just shatter with one headline, and that's what I want to emphasize the importance of. Yes, we have CPI. We're going to see an impact, but the focus still remains on. Oh, my camera just blurred out. The focus still remains largely on the ceasefire deal. What's going to happen, whether it's going to improve or not. But let's jump into it, Kevin. I'll share my screen, and so over here we have the dollar chart, right? But before we even jump into that, it is very important that one thing I want to highlight is this new feature we recently put out. Anytime there's a very high impact headline, you're going to see the initial impact right on the chart of where it happened. And we've completely automated this entire workflow. And one of the most important headlines that we got a few days ago was the double-sided ceasefire, right? where Trump was like, "This is going to be a 2 week ceasefire." And let's just go to that, and we're going to see the impact right. I think it's somewhere down here.
Yeah.
While we find it, what number do you think CPI is going to come out at?
Oh, it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna check the economic calendar, see what
Good.
last came out as. You find that,
2.4, right?
you find that. So right now, guys, core CPI, we're looking at a forecast of 3.3%. Prior was 2.4. So we are, at least forecast-wise, running away from the Fed's goal of 2%. The Fed's goal is 2% inflation. Now we're seeing possibly 3.3%. This is also the bank forecast. Maximum they have is 4%. I really don't see it going over 4% in a single month. If oil prices remained above 100 for another month, then yeah, I could possibly see April's CPI next month when it comes out to be that high. But right now, possibly 3.4. What are you thinking?
Yeah, 3.4. 3.4 would bring some volatility because it's over the forecast of 3.3.
Yep.
Right. But yeah, man, that's a whole percentage point jump, right?
Yeah.
And it's Fed ain't going to cut anytime soon. But here's the headline. Trump said on April 7th, 6:32 p.m. Eastern, I agreed to suspend bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. There's also, this will be a double-sided ceasefire. And you can see I have ES selected here. And the impact of this headline led to an over 110-point increase in ES in the next hour. Just within the next hour, the stock market went from 6,700 to 6,800 in less than an hour. You can see the impact right here. Now, if I want to go here and click the impact on it had on oil, as you can see, minus 7% nearly. Headline came out, oil went from 107 down to 92 in the next hour. And that's the thing over here, is that markets are very hypersensitive. If I open up oil futures, you can see it's not just a regular pullback, it's a complete flush out. And if, let's say, we get more optimism, you're going to see another flush out, and that flush out is going to get you back into these 80s range that we have down here, right? But if things get elevated, then we can potentially start to see exactly how we creep up slowly but surely and start fading out these downside moves, right? And that's if the ceasefire gets broken. So this is such an amazing feature, because I'm telling you, other service providers who have headlines have about a team of 30 to 40 analysts that they employ that scan these headlines and attach charts to it. Guys, you're living in the age of AI. Things are expanding and changing so fast that this is completely removing the job of those 30 analysts who are just sitting there monitoring headlines 24 hours. Like, this is pure precision. And you can go to the same impact that you see on Dow as well. You can see Dow went from 47.1 to 47.8, near such a massive increase, right? And same with gold. Gold also saw that optimism rally. As you can see, gold's premium has been priced in from months ago, where we reached the top, right? And then since then, we've seen the war has actually brought outflows because the liquidity is flowing into oil, as that remains a centerpiece in this puzzle right here. So before we get into that, I do think CPI, of course, CPI is going to be elevated, but we're going to, I think, remain below the maximum, maybe even 3.5, 3.4, 3.5. Then what that means is if we come above this, above the maximum, or just near above the forecast, at least like 3.4 and higher, we'll see a bit more of a bullish dollar.
Yeah, you'd think even 3.4, if it comes on forecast, seeing that the goal was 2%, we were at 2.4, 2.8, that we're still jumping 3.4% is going to be a bit of a shock, right? We haven't.
Yeah, but I think it'll get faded out. You know what I mean? Like when oil prices come down, I think it'll get faded out quite soon. You can see how sensitive like the headline reading is, right?
Yep.
For CPI. So we'll really see how that plays out. Like, and the majority of it is like, all of it is the oil inflationary prices. So we're going to observe this key data report here. But again, I would love to see the impact, what happens over the weekend. That's what's going to be important.
Yep.
Is trying to figure out, okay, we look at the headline, and that's been so key, man. A lot of this time it happens on the weekend to negate market impact. And look, you can see what happens when markets are open and just a few words get said. This is 6 words over here that were said that caused oil futures to drop nearly 7%. So on the weekend, you can imagine that if we see optimism or if the ceasefire gets broken, then you're going to see oil gap up when market open. You'll see oil gap up. And that's why it's so important to like not only read the headlines, but have some sort of indication on where the impact happened. And this, in my opinion, is one of the favorite things that we've ever built. And it's one of the most useful things we've ever built. So because you see there's so many headlines that come in every single day. And day traders, they just want to know, although this is amazing institutional information, you want to know where that advantage is. And this shows you right where the advantage happens. Headline comes out, and then you see impact come into it. Netanyahu says he was instructed to start direct negotiations with Lebanon as soon as possible.
Wow.
You can see stock market 0.34% increase. You can literally see that over here. You can see the same thing happen in ES. Headline came out, boom, you see stock market continue to go up, oil futures start dropping. Yep. So this is optimism, guys, and that's how it gets translated into market movement. This is how you understand what actually trading the headline means. It doesn't mean waiting for a headline. It means understanding which ones are the key drivers in these geopolitical situations and watching for market and taking advantage of that momentum, understanding what direction we're trading in now. You can see we were talking about oil buys all the way from down here to fill this range. And we got that with the escalation of war. And then as soon as there's ceasefire happen, oil, you think oil can sit up high this high for this long? No. Oil's at 116. Trump comes out, optimism, guy, boom. It's all theatrics, but you can see it's market psychology. So the data is almost about to come out.
Yep.
Right? Let's wait for this drum roll. So I remember when CPI used to be such a main focus in the markets. Of course, it's still in focus, but when you have all this going on around the world, it's this is just another data event. So again, like always, we'll watch the release, we'll understand it, we'll go into the playbook over here that we have that market generates for us for every report. And then we'll look at market impact on dollar. We'll look at market impact on gold, on ES. So it's a game of waiting, understanding, then taking action. Sometimes you don't take action, but when you do take action, it's when conditions are clear. You have a full picture of what's going on. So we'll wait for CPI to come out. I know this is a lot of people's favorite report to just gamble on.
Yeah, just throw buys at
the money. 3.3, right on forecast. All right, boys. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. No, I'm kidding. So we had CPI, the headline reading come out at 3.3%, and this is including food and energy prices. That's why you can see we saw that massive increase of 0.9%, right? Yep. So and on here, if you click the playbook, it's a bit more ranging, because the reason markets is a bit more ranging because it's on forecast, and markets don't move on the print, it moves on the expectation, and this was already expected. So you can almost see that this market might not be reacting to it, but we'll have a look and see how this impact holds, whether if dollar just rejects this area or we continue to dig deeper, right? Yeah. So even though it's elevated, you can see that we may not get the exact volatility where we were looking for if the print came out, as Kevin and I were talking about, like 3.5 or something higher like that, or something that's way below the expectations.
Yeah. And what's great, guys, too, with market is when you go into the news, the headlines, it breaks it down like the specifics. CPI energy, CPI consensus, CPI real estate, food, housing, gasoline. Under breaking news just came out right now.
Sorry, yeah.
So you can see which sectors are causing this inflation to rise like that.
Boom. You can see major CPI energy plus 11%, gasoline plus 22%.
Crazy.
It's crazy. I don't know why my camera keeps.
Your camera's sleeping, man.
Yeah, my camera's sleeping. It's too early in the morning for my camera.
Yeah. Bro, you know what? Your camera's still on vacation.
Yeah, my camera's jet lagged. I was just thinking that. Right? Like, and here's another example. I know we just looked at CPI. We'll give it a bit of time for the markets to digest it before we go into it. But dollar is at this low over here, and dollar's just been just been melting down on the intraday time frame. So we're at this low, but just to keep an eye on, we'll watch the news feed as well. And you can see here, 3 hours ago, we had a headline, and instantly you can see stock market reacts. It's markets, the little things that happen in the day to day with all these headlines build an overall narrative. And if you can keep track of the narrative that's happening, whether that's war tensions elevated, or on the opposite end of it, ceasefire, right? All these things paint a picture, and then you're able to see, okay, if this U.S.-Iran ceasefire holding, direct Israel-Lebanon talks begin, and here's all the headlines that support that. And then you relate here, oh, this had a bullish reaction. We are still bullish as long as the ceasefire holds. On the opposite end, if the ceasefire stops, right, and there's more elevation, like geopolitical tensions remain elevated, then you get the opposite reaction. Then you get NQ outflows. You get U.S. equities outflows, right? And this is the best part, man. It's things like this have been made so simple. This is like a war room where you can just sit, look at the markets, observe market impact, and yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Kevin?
It's going to be a whole lot of nothing, like we said before, right? Right within range. We're not really expecting much.
100%, especially in this market. Like, if you're not in buys from here, I wouldn't personally look to enter.
Yeah,
we're gonna creep up to like 4,800.
Yep.
But it's gonna be like a quick squeeze, and then I'll take profit if that's the position that you were in.
Yeah, exactly. I've been really looking at and trading ES and NQ a lot more in these market conditions, especially given how range bound gold has been. Really failing to find that direction. S&P, NASDAQ, they thrive off that optimism.
Mm-hmm.
So, that headline came out, I think it was like April or the end of March, and markets just went higher. ES hit that 10% correction level and reversed exactly off of it.
Yeah.
So it's really going to give us some insight. I would love to see some continuation on the S&P today.
Absolutely. And it's so engineered, right? Like it is these moves are so engineered that unless you're paying attention to who the engineer is and what the engineer is doing, that's when you can take advantage. Like this entire thing was a full engineered move. As soon as stock market reaches exactly what Kevin's talking about, the 10%, what do we get? We just get straight optimism. Listen, Trump's telling his boys, guys, time to buy. Time to buy. Kevin would be doing the same if he was president. He'd be calling me up, telling me, hey, it's time to buy. I'm not saying I'm not it's cool to see it all kind of how we predict when things, even when you predict one thing and the opposite end happens, you know what the market reaction is going to be. Like what is going to happen if we have an upside print for CPI, if the restrictions continue happening in Hormuz, right? Like you're going to see the opposite play out. And if you can keep track of that, you watch these high impact headlines, you click this over here, you don't always have to watch the full news feed, right? You can just have high impact open. And especially with this new feature update that we've added, that's what I've been doing a lot recently in the past week, is I've been having this high impact open over here. And I just love looking at these headlines coming and seeing, oh, okay, clearly this was a major headline that had an impact, because you can see it literally on the chart. You can see where it happened in the 1 minute. You can see the percentage. You can see oil drop nearly 2% after that happened. So it's very, very interesting to see how this will play out going into the weekend. If the ceasefire breaks, probably going to happen on a weekend.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. If it's going to break or if it's going to continue, they find some type of end to it, but it's going to be tough. The two things, guys, you have to watch in these market conditions is the breaking news, right? The headlines, and oil. Oil is sort of like we mentioned with
healthcare.
Yeah. Yep, that's going to be your market internal for everything, for just understanding what level of uncertainty and tension is going on. If there really is some type of ceasefire like they announced, then yeah, oil is reacting the way it should.
Yeah, exactly. And then if the opposite happens, then oil is also going to switch into a more of a bullish bias, where you see those tensions remaining elevated. New escalations is the main thing, right?
Yep.
And that's what's going to, remember, markets price things in. And as you can see, this straight optimism in the war brought massive outflows, and it's a flush out, guys. And
Yeah.
that's the main thing. You want to be on the right side, is that you don't want to be buying and you get a massive flush out and you weren't paying attention to the overall narrative that was building, right?
Yep.
If things change, then you know that breaks above this pullback area, and if we get tensions elevating, you see more new escalations, then you know we're going to switch a bias and market's going to evaluate it. It's going to change to a bullish bias. But it's all, you just got to watch out for it. It's at the end of the day, it's theatrics, but it's if you're not following the theatrics, you're blind.
Yeah, no, you're gonna enter a trade. It's gonna like have a crazy candle and go, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, yeah. Digital like market, you know exactly where it came from.
Yeah. So even on at ES, if we look at it, you can see we did an initial push up. But if you weren't in buys from here, these are just conditions like you just kind of want to remain a bit more on the sidelines unless you're able to get these plays. Like even after this massive push towards the upside, all the way till 68.50 on ES, we got a retracement, and after that low, the only real entry would have been for like scalping and short movements in the market. Same with gold. If you weren't in on like gold buys from here, the only place kind of worth it was if you really caught this spot, right?
Yeah, we're getting tough. And guys, don't forget to yesterday intraday wise, the New York session, the S&P gave us a 1% rally on the intraday scale. That's a big move. We don't want to fight that trend. If CPI did give us a surprise, then maybe that could help give us a reversal, but it came in as expected. Oil's coming lower, so they're probably going to be anticipating CPI to come back lower with it. Not everything lasts forever, especially when it comes to more uncertainty. That tends to halt very quickly.
Yeah, like you can see, if we zoom out to Russia, Ukraine, the oil didn't remain that high for that long. Like we got priced in.
Yeah, exactly. CPI is oil, just like VIX, right? When it's elevated, it's temporary. It is not forever.
Yeah, that was a great point you made yesterday. Is that in this case, oil, you could treat oil or monitor it like how you monitor VIX in a fear situation.
100%. It might not be. It's definitely not going to be a direct inverse. Like some people use the VIX as an inverse to the ES on an intraday scale, but it's going to give you some idea of strength or weakness in the market.
Yeah,
optimism.
Yeah, and like, look, we had a massive inflows into the stock market, and right now you're sitting at these intraday highs. Like we've just seen just straight push. It's just better to wait, let market structure develop, and markets never go one-sided towards the upside. You're not just going to see continued just straight inflows. Yeah, maybe if there's so much optimism that you get that, but that's not how the markets work. Like you can see every other situation where you see these massive plays towards the upside. You enter corrective phases, right? You enter corrective phases, and usually in the same area that they always happen, and then you get more market orders collecting. And then once the buyers outweigh the amount of orders in the market, you get these rallies. You get them more clear rallies after some time, especially after we've pushed up nearly 9%.
That's crazy. That's nuts, guys.
Right? Just from the optimism that started getting priced in even before the deal happened over here, right? Yep. Kevin says things can change quickly. Markets aren't going to stay in a fear-based situation for long. There's always going to be something. It's engineered. Right.
That's right.
Things like this are engineered. Oil was sitting at 116. Trump came out 2 hours before the deadline, said, "Hey guys, ceasefire."
Yeah, it's okay.
Hey. And then a few hours before that, he's like, "I'm gonna obliterate the civilization." This is theatrics, right? It's crazy. It's crazy how like the markets just eat it up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, guys. It doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter who you trust. I've had people say, oh, well, I don't trust what Trump says. It doesn't matter what we trust. We're traders. We're spectators. We have no dictation over how price reacts.
Yeah.
We're here to hear the headlines, and we're here to watch the reaction and trade it accordingly.
Yeah. And that's super key, is that we're speculating on price.
Yep.
So use the information. Like you can see headline came out. Top U.S. General King, U.S. military objectives in Iran have been met. And you can just go through these and look at any of the impact. This is one of my favorite things to look at. You can clearly see headline came out. algorithms started printing, started eating it up. And it's the reaction time here. It's so quick that this entire candle, you can click it here, get full. Oh, Trump announces 2 week ceasefire. When you come to the chart, you're like, oh, I wonder what caused this move. Man,
Yep.
It's never been easier.
No, really hasn't. Somebody mentioned in the chat, rate hike expectations reduced. Possibly. We'll see. Let's see. Compare. Looking at, let's see. So rate cuts are definitely down. June, it's only 1.7%. At some point, that was at 40%.
Yeah. Especially like the oil prices aren't going to remain high forever.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Inflation, like Powell used to say back in like 2020, inflation is transitory, guys.
Yep.
Inflation is transitory. And we've seen those spikes before too, that those spikes don't always remain for long. Like if you look at my chart, we saw a spike from 2.4 to 3 from October 2024 to February 2025, right?
Yep.
And you see it get faded out. Even in October 2025, we went back up to 3%.
Bro, what a spike that we just had.
Yeah, massive spike. You can see how it gets translated into markets instantly.
Yep. Priced in, guys. It's been priced in.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people get scared when they hear the term priced in. All it means is things are expected, right? We have bank forecasts. The reason forecasts are there is to give us an expectation. That expectation is normally what is looking to be priced in.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we really came up high 4%, then you would see those expectations be more drastically changed on the rate probabilities, as well as a way more bullish dollar.
Yep.
The market reaction was just subdued. You can see that on ES. ES profit taking happened after this move. We hit a target, and NQ is also just still like holding, right?
Everything's trying to hold. A little bit of a pullback on equities right now, but something to really mention, guys. When we're looking at equities, we're looking at the overall trend. We know we're bullish off the optimism. As a day trading perspective, that does not mean we cannot pull back, right? We could pull back 40 points. We could pull back 50 points, talking S&P 500. We could pull back 100 or 200 points on NASDAQ and still be in a bull trend. Do not get so stuck on the 5-minute time frame that you completely forget about the daily.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Let's see.
So we had no major news come in. It was just CPI data. We have a few more data later. Like I think we have, U.S. Michigan sentiment.
Yeah.
Sentiment, and that's a preliminary reading. So you can see minimum 4.9, maximum 55. Expected to be less than the previous.
Yep. Guys, we'll see. I'm thinking it's coming out at 52. 52 is their forecast. I think it comes right on forecast. Another nothing burger.
Another nothing burger. Love that.
Nawab, you want to go over some gold? Give everybody some gold levels and stuff?
Yeah, gold has been, you see, gold has been trending bullish. Dollar, on the other hand, has also seen those outflows, right? Which is further lining up with those gold buys. And gold, in this case, you let the intraday range print, you take the buys from the lows, and you kind of target it. Markets aren't, like you can see, when the optimism happened, gold got that relief, right? After being beaten all the way from 5,400, just straight outflows down to 41. And since then, we've just been holding the bullish structure on gold. And same with gold, right? The same, it applies to, so if tensions elevate and escalate again, gold is going to see those outflows. If the optimism happens, gold will see those inflows. And this is different than where previously you've seen gold during geopolitical tensions, you see massive inflows. It's just because gold was at such a high premium price point. And right now, this focus is, again, we keep bringing it back, oil is the main focal point right now. And just by looking at oil, understanding its movement, you can really understand what's happening in the war, on what the markets are pricing in. And that's the main thing. What is being priced in right now? This entire move, if you ask a new trader who comes to just looks at charts every morning, and they're doing that for their 4th year in the markets, they won't be able to tell you. They're like, oh, it's just a resistance. Yes,
double top.
The markets are pricing in optimism in
Yep.
this case because of the ceasefire that we have. And it's so easy to just look at a massive move and get lost and not understand what caused it. And once you know the story behind it and the exact words that actually moved those markets, then you start really understanding what's happening on the stage of the world. And if you don't understand what's happening on the stage and you're not able to interpret that story, you're going to be just trading patterns. And one thing we know about patterns is that algorithms don't see patterns. It's your computer code. You're not gonna you don't have eyes to look at this and say, hey, it's a double top. That's why we got sells. We got this massive flush out because of optimism, not because it was a double top, right? And yes, algorithmically or price wise, visually, it ends up looking like a double top because there's sell orders over here already due to oil prices being so high, and markets know they can't remain that high. It's all a part of the story. It's like a very beautiful poem that's written by the world. It's every market participant has a play in this transaction that's happening, right? And when that collective has the same picture and they're painting it, it's beautiful. You can see how escalations just drive oil back to these highs that we printed, how optimism complete flush out on the opposite side. And we said it so many times, if something goes up quick, just best believe it's going to come down even faster. And that time and time has been the case. Oil, massive inflows from 60s all the way to 120, nearly doubled in price in less than a month. And you saw 74% outflow from oil from its highs. Same with gold. You see gold, massive inflows chugging away from end of the year, start of 2025, reached a high in just 4 weeks. Gold went from 4,200 to 5,600, and in the next 2 weeks, we got massive outflows right back down to the start of the year. You can see anything that goes up will come down even faster, and doesn't mean that oil is going to continue staying up here for long. If, again, the weekend ceasefire breaks, I'm not saying it will happen, but during this time, the weekend is always the best time for them to make their move. It's because the markets are closed. By the time the markets open, traders have way less emotions attached to it. They've digested it, they've priced it in. It's more emotionally priced in at that point, right? So, but if the optimism stays, 2 weeks lows, it gets faded out, oil price will continually steady make their way down.
Yep. Yeah, it's I think you know what it is too. I think oil's going to make its way down. I think tensions remain calm. I think the war might start to roll over into an end. It's really also going to depend on Israel's stance on it too, because the US really went in with Israel on this war in Iran.
Yeah.
And immediately, like the day after, Israel bombed Lebanon really hard.
Yeah, exactly. And you see now they're entering more into like negotiations. Like senior Lebanese official tells Reuters that Lebanon intends to take part in a meeting next week in Washington to discuss and announce a ceasefire. Like clear market impact, headline came in. You can see the negotiation, but things like this can switch like this. Like snap of your fingers and the opposite is happening, where you see Benjamin Netanyahu come out and say, "What ceasefire? What ceasefire?"
Yeah, but I never agreed.
Yeah, I never agreed. He's like, that was between you guys.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
Yeah, that happens. So we'll see how it plays out, man. It's fucked what's happening around the world, but
it is.
We're here to speculate and understand the market and try to break it down to best of our ability. Like here, 21 hours ago, Netanyahu says negotiations will focus on disarming Hezbollah and establishing peace between Israel and Lebanon. Optimism, boom. Optimism on ES, outflows on oil, right? It's you can see the same reaction happens every time there's optimism, and then the opposite happens when there's pessimism, when there's more fear, when there's escalations.
Yep. What was I gonna say? That's funny. That's a great example of a headline that people might look at and go, "Oh, I don't believe it. He's not going to do that." But markets don't care what you believe. They only care about the headlines that come out.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. They only care about the headlines that come out and how it impacts the narrative that the markets are currently focused on. Currently, they're focused on the ceasefire. What happens when the ceasefire is broken? You know,
Yep.
What's the focus then? Is that the focus is going to be the escalation, the fear that the markets are then pricing in, and what words will be said after that. Right?
Yep.
Think about it. If a ceasefire gets broken, the focus goes on escalations, and then the focus becomes, okay, will there be another ceasefire? Right? When will
Yeah,
be the next ceasefire? Yeah, so it's a back and forth. Just like the Fed was always, there's parrots in the Fed where the speakers will say one thing, some will be doves, some are more focused on like the rate hikes and doing quantitative, having a more tighter monetary policy. It's the same thing here. You get optimism, you get pessimism. It's just a balancing game.
Yeah. I will say, on the other hand, though, VIX is finally back below $20, which brings us back more into a neutral market environment, to an even calmer, more bullish market environment.
Mm-hmm.
So very strong there, because look at how elevated VIX has been this whole time.
Yeah.
For a long time now. It's just been over 20. It was closing above, I think it was like 22.
22, for a long time.
For, let's see, over 34 days. Yeah. Now finally seeing some more calmer price action on the VIX. It's definitely going to help support a more bullish S&P and NASDAQ.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, what I'd like to see on ES today is this pullback area. So here's our volume profile. A lot of time markets will range within the areas of heavy volume. So we look to either short the highs or buy the lows. Context is key. We know we'd rather buy the lows because we have optimism in the market. So we have 68.50, 68.45. That lines up exactly with my market level, 68.45 for a pullback area. Going to be looking for longs targeting 68.85, 40-point move right there.
Yeah, that's a great analysis.
Somebody had a question. Does a little headline banner on the charts in the high impact area always display at 8:30 regardless of when the headline actually came out? No, that should be... Oh, yeah, look at that.
The headline banner?
Take a look. Yeah, take a look at the chart on the actual market headline. It looks like it's coming out 8:30.
Oh, I see what you mean. No, I think that's actually a bug. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay. We'll get that fixed on that. But that's just the impact. So
good high. I didn't see that.
Oh, actually, no, it does. It says it based on the headline that actually came out. So it's actually not a bug. I take that back. Our engineer, you can see these headlines came out at 8:30. Like that's why it says 8:30 here. 24 minutes ago, it's 8:54 right now. So these headlines are 8:30. Okay. But if you go to the one 7 hours ago, in this case, this was at 1 a.m. Eastern. You can see right there, 1 a.m. Eastern.
Nice, beautiful. There we go. Come on, ain't no bugs here at market.
Every software has bugs, and we're always looking to. If you guys find any, tell us. We're always open to feedback. But in this case, this is flawless.
Aha.
But yeah, I think that's it's a Friday, so it's a focus is how this plays out over the weekend. Yeah. My money is on the fact that I think the ceasefire will get broken. If it doesn't get broken this weekend, it's going to get broken eventually. But we'll see.
Why do you say that? How long do you think the war is going to last? What gives you that?
It's just how I don't know. I think it's previously in every other situation. This is just how it goes on, right? Like in Obama's time, they did it like this. They would say it's ceasefire and then do like strikes and escalations. But again, just focus on oil. Let's see how oil plays out. If any optimism will just cause further flush outs down to 80s, then you'll see inflation come lower as well, and that get priced in. So it's just times where you have to remain focused on what's happening in the game.
Yeah, and something else to note, guys, headlines and oil combined, looking at them together, Israel bombs Lebanon yesterday. Oil didn't skyrocket. Oil stayed within that more pulled back area. Oil was not pricing in. That's us seeing the large institutions, the large market makers saying, okay, Israel's bombing Lebanon. That's not really going to cause the war to pick back up just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Guys, great episode of Market in the Morning. Guys, Nalab, anything to leave us off on?
That's it, man. We have a mobile app coming out within the next month and a bit, where it's going to be focused on, first, it's the headline feed, so you guys can get full control with the market app on your phone, on your iOS device. and we're excited on that. We have a lot more live pricing data coming in, so tons of improvements coming, and there's going to be different tiers of market that you're going to be able to take advantage of. A lot coming for our loyal users as well, who have been with us since the start. We have a ton of stuff coming for them as well.
How exciting, guys. We got a lot coming up on market. Make sure you guys like and subscribe and join us. Hell yeah. Yes, sir. Every Tuesday and Thursday for Market in the Morning.
You know, when there's data, Kevin's got us covered. Kevin's got us covered.
Right. Yo, you guys know it. Killer team, guys. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Make sure you trade carefully. Size down. If you're in good profits, guys, it's Friday.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Size down. Or just chill out, you know. Go enjoy the sun.
There you go. Touch some grass.
Touch some grass.
Guys, have a great day. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Peace.